George Zinn, elderly rabble-rouser who falsely claimed he shot Charlie Kirk, is hit with child porn charges. Wow! The elderly rabble-rouser who allegedly hindered Utah's authorities' response after Charlie Kirk was shot is accused of keeping graphic sexual photos of children on his phone, according to law enforcement. George Zinn, 71, was charged with 4 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor Tuesday after investigators found more than 20 images of kids as young as 5 years old, at least partially naked and posing in a sexual way, the Utah County Sheriff's Office said in a news release. How did this happen? What the fuck? Zinn admitted that he gets sexual gratification from viewing and sharing child sexual abuse material images with others, and that his preferred victim age is 5 to 12 years old. Well, you know, once again, at least these people are dumb enough to just say it so we don't have to deal with people trying to defend them, you know? Zinn, who is a political gadfly, I don't know what that means, is also facing a charge of obstruction of justice after he allegedly admitted to screaming that he shot Kirk on a Utah campus Wednesday in a bid to help the actual shooter get away. He was quickly taken into custody before police figured out he wasn't the gunman. Tyler Robinson, 22, was arrested and charged with the shocking slaying more than 30 hours after the assassination. Why are there so many fucking pedos everywhere? Why is it so common? That's a great question. A hack star Hannah Einbinder slammed for Crude Emmy speech, "Fuck ICE and free Palestine." Well, she looks like she's eaten a couple extra chromosomes, so I'm not exactly surprised. Hannah Einbinder is under fire for turning her Emmy acceptance speech into a crude political soapbox in which she said "fuck ICE and free Palestine." The actress's controversial remarks went viral after she won Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series for the hit HBO show during Sunday night's live ceremony. I couldn't really tell in the first picture, but her dress looks like something that you would put on as wallpaper in a Victorian home. Don't wear the wallpaper, man. Go Birds, fuck ICE, and free Palestine, the 30-year-old actress who is Jewish. Maybe, I don't know a lot about the war, right? Because, like, I don't care. I don't want American money going to the war. I don't want American soldiers ever having to be deployed to another sandbox that we don't have any business being in, right? But when I read someone who is Jewish saying free Palestine, that ticks off the, like, same thing in my brain where it's like queers for Palestine. It's like, do you know what they would do to you, brother? Like, I don't know, man. The comments drew immediate pushback on social media. Any Jewish actress who uses her 15 minutes of fame to show support for the terrorists holding 48 hostages in Gaza has no moral compass, wrote Joel Petlin. And the naive Hollywood audience that applauded her immoral statement is equally reprehensible. Hannah Einbinder was a real loser at the Emmys. I feel like most people are losers at the Emmys, but, you know, that's just, like, my opinion, man. Others were exasperated at yet another actor turning an entertainment award show into their own chance to show their political wokeness. She later said she felt the need to speak out publicly to distinguish Jews from the state of Israel. Okay. I don't think anyone assumes that every single Jew agrees with the government in Israel, much like, unless you're literally functionally, clinically retarded, you don't believe that, like, every American or every British person agrees with what their government's doing, you know? Like, okay. I feel like it is my obligation as a Jewish person to distinguish Jews from the state of Israel because our religion and our culture is such an important and long-standing institution that is really separate to this sort of ethno-nationalist state, she said, according to the Wrap. Einbinder added that she felt it was important to talk about Palestine because it's an issue that's very dear to my heart. This is why Ricky Gervais had to lecture celebs on how to accept awards, Jewish journalist Dahlia Kurtz posted on X. True! Imagine the comedian being the most intelligent person in that room, man. Referring to Gervais's now notorious hosting speech in which he told celebs they were in no position to lecture the public. Einbinder's Hacks co-star Megan Stalter expressed a similar sentiment on the Emmys red carpet when she held up a bag with the words "Ceasefire" written on it. Sunday's victory was Einbinder's 4th nomination for her performance as Ava Daniels, a struggling young comedy writer in all 4 seasons of Hacks. So she's gotten awarded once per season. You know, it kind of makes me happy that I didn't know the Emmys were even going on right now, right? Because it's kind of like the VTuber Awards. Now it's just so niche that unless you actually follow the people who are going to be at the award show, you just don't know about it. I don't have to hear about people talking about celebrities for ages. An Illinois TV anchor has resigned from a local ABC-affiliated station after she said she was suspended for airing a tear-jerking, nonpartisan tribute to her mentor, Charlie Kirk, following his assassination. Benny Ray Harmony announced she was leaving Wix ABC 20 Springfield on Monday after she allegedly faced retaliation from the station for airing the emotional 1-minute, 17-second tribute on Friday. Many in the mainstream media have been fired or punished for mocking his assassination, Harmony wrote on X. I believe I am the first to be targeted for honoring him on air. Harmony told her followers that her resignation is guided by values that are essential to who I am, which I refuse to set aside in order to keep a job. I choose my faith and love of country and always will, she stated. She closed her announcement with a message of solidarity, offering prayers for Kirk's family and the country. Thank you, Springfield, my home, my community, my people. God bless Charlie Kirk and his beautiful family. And God bless these United States of America, Harmony wrote. Following her announcement, her bio page for the station has been removed from its website. The Post has reached out to Wix ABC 20 for comment. During Harmony's brief but powerful tribute to Kirk, she reassured viewers that it's normal to feel sadness or be grieving over the cold-blooded killing of the Turning Point USA co-founder. The on-air anchor fighting back tears revealed that the 31-year-old conservative commentator was her first boss and had acted as a mentor to her early on in her media career, teaching her to believe in herself and chase her dreams. I want to share with you one of my favorite sayings that Charlie would always tell us at the office. He would yell it from the mountaintop, so please listen. When conversations stop happening, when individuals become wordless, that's when violence begins. So if you do one thing today, make it be with passion, with conviction, stand up for your friends, stand up for your beliefs, and speak loudly, even if your voice shakes. Your words have meaning, your values have purpose. Never forget that. Harmony recalled Kirk telling her earlier in her career. And it is a very powerful message. It is a very powerful message. Thank you, Charlie Kirk, you changed my life. She ended her emotional tribute to the father of two. Harmony worked as a producer and administrator for Turning Point USA in the Washington, D.C. Baltimore area from August 2021 to February 2022, according to her LinkedIn. Kirk, a prominent 31-year-old conservative podcaster, was fatally shot last Wednesday while speaking at a university in Utah during his tour with Turning Point USA. While Harmony resigned over honoring Kirk, she didn't really have much of a choice. Why'd you write it like that? She was suspended for doing it, you know? And if I was suspended for doing something like that when it was a good thing and it was to bring, a bit of peace to all of the people watching, and I was suspended for it, yeah, I probably would have fucking walked too. Because that means the people that I work with are kind of soulless. While Harmony resigned over honoring Kirk, American workers from Delta pilots to MSNBC pundits and public school teachers are being sacked from their jobs for mocking his assassination in social media posts, which is a good thing, by the way, New York Post. Immediately after the shooting, graphic footage of Charlie Kirk's death spread online along with cruel jokes about the right-wing influencer. Jokes, by the way. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said in a social media post that American airline pilots who were caught celebrating the assassination were immediately grounded and removed from service. MSNBC analyst Matthew Dowd was axed from the network after he seemed to imply just moments after the shooting on air that Kirk's awful words led to awful actions taking place. U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn in Tennessee called for a Middle Tennessee State University employee to be fired after she wrote, "Looks like old Charlie spoke his fate into existence. Hate begets hate, zero sympathy." An Office Depot employee at a Michigan store was fired after allegedly refusing to print flyers for a vigil for Kirk. And that Office Depot employee calling it propaganda was also just absolutely crazy. We have a Newsweek article here. Tyler Robinson had a network of people around him, according to the FBI. Investigators are probing whether a network of people around the suspect accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk may have known about the attack in advance. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino has said, Kirk, 31, was fatally shot while speaking at Utah Valley University on September 10th, and the shooter was arrested 2 days later on suspicion of aggravated murder and other felony offenses. Newsweek has contacted the FBI for further comment via an email sent outside regular business hours. Authorities have not provided many details about why they think the 22-year-old Robinson carried out the attack, but his online activity, political views, and personal life continue to face scrutiny and speculation in the wake of the shooting. And apparently he's not exactly cooperating with law enforcement either. The assassination of the Turning Point USA founder was the latest in a string of attacks that have targeted members of both major parties. President Donald Trump sparked criticism after he blamed the quote-unquote radical left for Kirk's death before any details about the suspect or motive were known. Liberals have since touted Robinson's conservative roots amid speculation about his political beliefs. That's crazy to read this in an updated article when we know that his family was conservative, but he was not. Like, I mean, come on, bro. During an appearance on the Megyn Kelly show on Monday, Bongino said it was up in the air how many people lived with Robinson besides his boyfriend Lance Twiggs. Utah's Republican Governor Spencer Cox previously said that Robinson lived with a romantic partner who was transgender, but did not name Twiggs. Cox said that the roommate had been very cooperative with law enforcement and had no idea that this was happening. I just don't believe him on that second part. Robinson's roommate showed investigators messages that discussed hiding a rifle and engraving bullets, Cox previously said. Bongino confirmed Twiggs' name to Megyn Kelly on Monday. We have the suspect in this case, and then we have Lance, how many people they associated with, and how many, in fact, lived or resided there. It's up in the air. However, there is apparently a network of people, given his network of friends and associates. What was the level of foreknowledge about the attack? Did they know something and refuse to say something? Did they know something and think it was a joke? Asked if investigators believe Twiggs had advanced warning about the shooting, Bongino said he didn't want to reveal what information has been provided by Twiggs. Given the cooperation of that subject at this time, I don't want to say too much about what he's saying or not saying. However, there are indicators just beyond Twiggs that there were a lot of warning signs here in this case. Bongino said the investigation was far from over. We're not done at all looking into any possible support or aiding and abetting in the case. Anyone under the assumption out there that this is the end of the investigation is categorically wrong. It's not even the end of the beginning of the investigation. We're exhausting every lead. Utah Governor Spencer Cox said on CNN on Sunday the roommate was a romantic partner, a male transitioning to female. This partner has been very cooperative, had no idea that this was happening. Kash Patel said on Fox and Friends on Monday that authorities had seen a text exchange between Robinson and another unnamed individual, in which he claimed he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and he was going to do it because of his hatred of what Charlie stood for. Once again, these kinds of people want you dead. Charlie was just a normal dude. He was the moderate who wanted to talk. There's an article with messages from his personal friend group, and also the messages with his Garfield girlfriend are now public. Read like them setting up an alibi to protect Lance. Yeah, I do not believe the boyfriend here. I do not believe the man that he was fucking. And I have a timestamp from the conference here, so I'll play this for a little bit here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to begin. My name is Richard Pyatt. I'm the communications manager for Utah County. I'm working with the Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray as he handles this case and as the county deals with the publicity surrounding this case. We appreciate your being here. Jeff will enumerate the charges and detail what the county's findings are up to this point, and then he will take questions. The number of questions may be limited, however. I may cut it off. I may assist him in helping to pick the people who are asking the question. We just ask that you keep the questions to the process of what we're talking about and refrain from asking questions that speculate or get into the political dynamic of the case. For Utah County, this is a murder case, and we're trying a murder case. We're trying to keep the questions to that, but I understand that you're under pressure and have a lot of different questions, and we'll try to answer them. We're joined today by our sheriff and our prosecution team and our county commissioners. Jeff is going to be the only one speaking right now, and I'll introduce right now County Attorney Jeff Gray.
Hello, Jeffrey. You got mad tie jealousy? Yeah, dude, that tie was nice.
The murder of Charlie Kirk is an American tragedy. Charlie Kirk was murdered while engaging in one of our most sacred and cherished American rights, the bedrock of our democratic republic, the free exchange of ideas in a search for truth, understanding, and a more perfect union. It is also an offense against the state and to the peace and enjoyment of the people of Utah and of all those who visit here. But Charlie Kirk's murder also strikes a more personal and intimate chord. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a father to two beautiful young children. He was a son, he was a brother, and a friend. Like all murders, the senseless and needless taking of Charlie Kirk's life has shattered the lives of those he loved and those who loved him. To Charlie's wife, Erica, his 2 young children, his parents, his family, and his friends, I express my sincere condolences and offer my heartfelt prayers on your behalf. I also want to express my concern for everyone who was at Charlie's Turning Point USA event at the Utah Valley University, and all who have been impacted by this tragedy. As county attorney, I am charged with bringing justice to those who offend our laws. I am charged with bringing justice for those who are harmed. I am charged with bringing justice for Charlie Kirk. I am committed to these aims. I take this responsibility seriously. Today, after reviewing the evidence that law enforcement has collected thus far, I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense, for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide.
Good Lord.
The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting.
I'm gonna be honest, I just thought that was normal procedure for anyone who does any kind of shooting, right? Dispose of the rifle, dispose of the clothing. I didn't know they got charged for that. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. That's great. Yeah, throw every single page of the book at him, man.
Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts.
That directly contradicts the roommate trying to claim they had no idea what was happening. And them booting up fucking Silk Song and whatever other game I've already forgotten. Real interesting. Real interesting.
Count 6, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him.
The roommate knew everything!
And count 7,
There's
commission
no way.
of a violent offense in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor, for committing homicide knowing that children were present and may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression.
I think it's kind of weird, I guess, that we have like an additional charge for if children were present to witness a public murder. But I'm glad we have it. It seems rather like, damn, that's odd. But I'm glad we have it. I wonder how that came to be on the books. Like, how did they decide back in the past, whenever that was enacted, they were just like, yeah, you know what? If children are if children are present during a public murder, they should get extra charges for having the children witness it. That's crazy. We need more books to throw. Yeah, usually weird specific laws like that get put on books after something causes them to exist. So like, I'm kind of curious, what caused that?
Also, following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail.
Finally! Finally, someone sane who's like, oh, you murdered someone. We're not just gonna release you on bail. Holy shit. It's almost like I'm living in a normal reality for once.
Turning to the 10-page information, these are the allegations. On September 10th, 2025, at approximately 12...
Maybe it's really old. I mean, it could be really old, but regardless of how old it is, I'm still curious about how that law about shooting someone in front of kids adds an extra charge. I'm sure it's like one of those laws that they don't pull out unless you really fucked up and they want to stick absolutely everything they possibly fucking can to you. Kind of like there's a law in Massachusetts that like light bulbs can't be changed on Sundays or some shit. I can't exactly remember. Or like women can't leave the house without an escort on Sundays. Some shit like that. I'm sure that never actually comes up with anything. But, like, let's say we had some crazy fucking female assassin who actually managed to succeed in, like, killing someone on a Sunday. They'd be like, oh, well, this assassin was outside of her home on a Sunday without a male escort. Therefore, we're going to charge her with that, even though it hasn't been used since, like, 17-something, you know? When she gets a life sentence, we can see how U.S. changes in a direction opposite how he hoped. No, I just want him to be executed. I don't want to waste tax dollars on keeping this thing alive.
12:23 p.m. Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action .30-06 rifle, nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11th, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, and told his roommate to delete incriminating text messages and not talk to police. Children were present at the time.
And that roommate rolled the fuck over real quick. that roommate boyfriend thing turned on him real fucking quick, man. Zero loyalty with these people. That's crazy. I'm glad there's zero loyalty, to be fair. Because we're probably getting a fuck ton of information. But that's still like, do not trust those people, dude. NYPD warns of further violence in the wake of Charlie Kirk and United Healthcare CEO killings. On the eve of court-scheduled appearances for high-profile suspected gunman Tyler Robinson and Luigi Mangione, a new law enforcement assessment warned for calls of further violence against politicians, business leaders, and other dignitaries. The assessment, prepared by the NYPD Counterterrorism and Intelligence Bureau after the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk, said the killing of the conservative pundit last week and United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson late last year stems from the same toxic and violent atmosphere. True. The targeted attack occurred against the backdrop of an increasingly volatile threat environment in the U.S., amid ongoing concerns over the targeting of and violent threats persistently aimed at prominent political figures, CEOs, public officials, and other dignitaries. These individuals likely remain vulnerable at open-air speaking engagements and public events, which have been targeted by malicious actors seeking to advance political or ideological agendas and/or draw attention to unique personal grievances through violence, the document said. This attack, along with a series of recent high-profile assaults linked to actors with a host of grievances, underscores the continued need for heightened vigilance among law enforcement officers and private sector security personnel with dignitary and executive protection responsibilities. Rather than aligning with a single extremist ideology, malicious actors may adopt a personalized, hate-filled worldview drawn from a mix of beliefs, amplifying the risk of future attacks by lone offenders that glean tactical and targeting inspiration from prior acts of high-profile violence and find support in permissive online environments. I mean, I can agree that there are going to be some people who are just schizophrenic in what they write in their manifesto when they commit a shooting. I'm pretty sure was it the manifesto I couldn't read on stream? I think it was the one that I couldn't read on stream that was just like a literal schizophrenic manifesto. How convenient that it isn't centralized in their beliefs. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure there's going to be some schizophrenic one. However, The majority of the violence is coming from the radical left. The majority of the violence is from people who have been indoctrinated in critical theories rooted in Marxism and communism. So it's just like, if we can't speak aloud where the majority of the violence is coming from, the problem will never be addressed. Robinson, the suspected gunman in Kirk's killing, is expected to face capital murder charges in Utah on Tuesday. Authorities have said Robinson may have been radicalized online and that ammunition found in the gun used to kill Kirk included anti-fascist and meme culture writings. Luigi Mangione, who's been indicted on federal charges in the shooting of Thompson in Midtown Manhattan on December 4th, 24, is due in a New York court on Tuesday when the judge is expected to rule on several outstanding motions, including defense motions to dismiss state murder charges and exclude certain evidence. Mangione has not pleaded guilty. Prosecutors have suggested Mangione inspired other violence, namely the shooting in July targeting the NFL headquarters at 345 Park Avenue. His attorneys have denied that. The NYPD assessment said the killing of Kirk could likewise inspire others. Regardless of motive, this incident has, and likely will, continue to resonate with a wide range of violent extremists in a perceived justification and calls for further violence. Additionally, the high-profile nature of this assassination will likely be amplified in propaganda messaging and heavily exploited by malicious actors, as well as an adversarial nation-state in malinformation aimed at fomenting division. I don't know if we need to bring, like, adversarial nation states into this. I don't know how much, like, unless they're talking about funding for the terror groups in America coming from other nations, which, yeah, sure, I believe that. How Charlie Kirk's death is leading to college staff dismissals. Universities in red states have fired or suspended employees regarding social media posts about Charlie Kirk's death that school leadership found inappropriate, underscoring how fraught freedom of speech on college campuses is becoming. No. That framing is incredibly disingenuous. People have been fired for, like, making a joke or doing the okay sign. Like, the amount of ridiculous things that people have been fired for over the last couple of years. No one was cheering for an assassination. The firings and suspensions come after backlash from Republican elected officials. In some cases, lawmakers shared screenshots of employee posts on their social media accounts. Oh no, something you said publicly got shared. Clemson University, a college in South Carolina, announced on Saturday that it suspended one of its employees. The school said it's continuing to thoroughly review the inappropriate social media content posted by employees in response to the tragic murder of Charlie Kirk. The university said it would be providing no further details since it's a personnel matter. I think what's also really interesting is that all of the like conservatives and people who have been getting these demonic freaks fired from their jobs, they literally just post the exact post that the people posted. They don't try to, like, quote what the post said and take it wildly out of context by omitting words. They literally just post the post. So it also tells you the people getting these weirdos fired are still operating on a higher morality level than any of these freaks ever did. The employee suspension comes one day after House Judiciary Republicans posted "Defund Clemson" on X in response to the university's statement condemning endorsement of political violence, while also reaffirming its commitment to free speech. Other Republicans chimed in. Free speech doesn't prevent you from being fired if you're stupid and have poor judgment, Senator Lindsey Graham said in a post on X. And this is why, again, these people need to be fired. Being suspended isn't enough. Because the ones that are getting fired are the ones who have been emboldened by a culture telling them that they are the good guys, they can do no wrong, and who they think are enemies are genuine, 100% unironic Nazis, and if they die, it's okay. They feel fine posting this stuff because they've never had to feel repercussions. They don't have good OPSEC and they post with their name and their location and their job titles because they've never had to fear reprisal for anything they say. And so cheering on the assassination of someone that they have labeled with the mark of death a la Nazi is just a normal everyday occurrence for these people. Thinking that there would ever be repercussions for something like that is out of the realm of possibility for these useful idiots. The ones who are intelligent are silently agreeing with them without risking their employment so that they can issue suspensions or issue retarded messaging that makes it seem like, oh, we care. We really care, trust us. They need to be fired. You need to root out all of these Marxist people, root and stem. Rep. Nancy Mace also publicly condemned the university for not firing employees she believed made inappropriate comments about Kirk. Cumberland University in northern Tennessee announced on Friday that 2 employees, an assistant coach and an English professor, were no longer at the university. President Paul Stum said that the employees made inappropriate comments on the internet related to the tragic shooting of Charlie Kirk. This decision was not made lightly, Stum said in a statement. We understand the importance and impact of this action, and we want to emphasize that we conducted a comprehensive investigation prior to making our decision. The University of Mississippi announced Thursday that an employee no longer works for them because the staff member reshared comments that university officials found to be insensitive. United Campus Workers of Mississippi, a union that represents some University of Mississippi employees, told Morning Edition that they believe employees have the right to a private life outside of their jobs. Which is true, but there's a difference between having a right to a private life and cheering for an assassination. It's kind of like when Pam Bondi had that interview and she called this hate speech. Do not use their language. Do not use the language that Marxists have used and transformed over the years. It muddies the waters and it gives them more ammo against you in the future. If you can try your absolute best to no longer use their subversive language, they begin to lose their power. That private life includes the right to share openly on social media, the union said in a statement. When speaking on matters of public concern and in their capacity as private citizens, all employees at the University of Mississippi ought to be able to speak freely, without fear of retaliation from the administration or state legislatures. United Campus Workers of Mississippi is the group saying this. United Campus Workers of Mississippi. Who... I would place a bet that they are just fucking commies, bro. These disingenuous fucks. Yeah, they're absolutely fucking disingenuous. Middle Tennessee State University made a short announcement late Wednesday night that they had fired an employee for inappropriate and callous comments about Kirk's death. A spokesperson for the school confirmed it was an assistant dean that was fired for the post. In a follow-up statement, President Sidney McPhee said the school values freedom of expression, but the fired employee was in a role that oversaw decisions on student behavioral matters, which requires students to see her as fair and even-handed, a professional without agendas. Simply put, the employee's actions made her ineligible to work with students on their conduct, McPhee said in a statement. Speech can have consequences, and her thoughtlessness and lack of empathy mean that no one walking into her office can see her as an objective arbiter of facts. True. The amount of disingenuous BS you keep seeing from the media right now is making you sick. It's pretty bad. It's pretty fucking bad. But there is hope, chat. Do not despair. Do not despair. The demons are finally getting sprayed with the holy water they so justly deserve. We have this guy here, whoever Gunther Eagleman is, some political commentator, America First. I haven't heard of him before, but he posted this. Senator Chuck Grassley just announced that an FBI whistleblower revealed to him an FBI project called Arctic Frost that targeted group like Charlie Kirk's TPUSA. He says that they're releasing documents today. In total, 92 Republican targets, including Republican groups and Republican-linked individuals, were placed under investigative scope of Arctic Frost. And I will let him speak the rest of it.
Central American gangs like MS-13.
MS-13. I love that fucking, like, deep South accent. It sounds so goofy.
Now, well, it's well understood that your predecessor left you an FBI infected with politics. I'm going to provide examples of that today, including making public new whistleblower records. At your nomination hearing, I made public records that whistleblowers provide me about Arctic Frost. Arctic Frost was the FBI case opened and approved by antitrust Trump FBI agent Thibault. Arctic Frost then became Jack Smith's Electra case against then citizen Trump. And
Gunter Eagleman is an India bot account, by the way. What the fuck? Why is it an Indian bot account? I mean, regardless, at least the Indian bot account gave us a good information video for once.
Now, President Trump. These new records show that Arctic Frost was much broader than just an electoral matter. The case was expanded to Republican organizations. Some examples of the group that Ray FBI sought to place under political investigation included the Republican National Committee, Republican Attorney Generals Association, and various Trump political groups. In total, 92 Republican targets, including Republican groups and Republican-linked individuals, were placed under investigative scope of Arctic Frost. On that political list was one of Charlie Kirk's groups, Turning Point USA.
This guy feels like he is using the absolute last bit of the strength keeping him alive to speak. And like, while I'm glad he is sharing the information he is sharing, and without someone like him here, we might not have this information, it just reinforces the fact that I think maybe there should be some term limits, man. Maybe there should be like an age cap on how long you stay in a political role.
In other words, Arctic Frost wasn't just a case to politically investigate Trump. It was the vehicle by which partisan FBI agents and Department of Justice prosecutors could achieve their partisan ends and improperly investigate the entire
Why does Cash look bored upon hearing this?
Republican political apparatus. So today, Senator Johnson and I are making these records public for the entire country to see, and I hope a lot of people are interested in seeing what government can do.
What? He says it like Hank Hill.
Agencies have a political agenda. Investigative work has also exposed the political way in which Peter Navarro was investigated and prosecuted. When FBI agent Tebow found out that...
Isn't Tebow a football player? What's happening here?
Biden's DOJ would prosecute Navarro, he said, "Wow, great." That's a quote, unquote. Through whistleblowers, I've obtained a audio recording of Special Agent Giagardina and Special Agent Sebastian Gardner's delivery of a subpoena to Navarro. I'm making that audio public today.
Good. Good.
In
Where's
a
that
court
audio?
document filed by the Department of Justice, Navarro's...
Okay, all right. So it's just giving us the information about the like little thing. Whistleblower documents. Chuck Grassley revealed dozens of conservative organizations and had records subpoenaed by the FBI. And that's where it says Turning Point. Let me open image and new tab. Some redacted stuff. 2022, 2023, 22, 23. So I got dates here. Paychecks responded with a letter stating no records were found. Later, they were able to locate the account and produce the records. And down here in this big box, which we have all these columns blacked out, so I can't really... Event strategies, December 7th, 2022, December 15th, 2022, January 13th, 2023. And it looks like it says rolling. And then Turning Point USA or Turning Point Action and Tea Party Express. A little highlight. Both sides, they say, after killing you. Turn down the temperature, they say, after celebrating your death. According to online statistics, there's more right-wing political violence than left-wing. Even though Black Lives Matter riots or anti-immigration riots or destroying Teslas aren't considered political violence. But of course, January 6th is considered the darkest day in American history. George Floyd, a man who robbed a pregnant woman at gunpoint, and apparently someone in the comments said that that didn't happen, that he went into the woman's house, but I think that guy's getting George Floyd confused with another guy. There was another guy who pulled out a knife and a woman had a restraining order on the guy, and he went into that woman's house and then tried to steal her vehicle, and then cops shot him, and there were riots over him being shot because everybody tried to claim that it was an unarmed black man when he had pulled a knife. So like, I don't really know. We're gonna continue. George Floyd, a man who robbed a pregnant woman at gunpoint, dies of a fentanyl overdose while resisting arrest, and it's a hate crime that warrants burning down our cities. Also warrants a lot of people trying to turn this man into a fucking saint for some reason. He had a gold casket. He had politicians kneeling and crying for him. He had politicians going to his funeral. We have to hear about him ad nauseum years later for why these people have to push policies that they do. It's an insane thing that people have basically turned this guy into a saint. Irina Zarutska gets killed, and it's just some mentally ill black man that killed her in cold blood and screamed, "I got that white girl. I got that white girl." But we don't know motive for certain. Many such cases. Democratic Senator Shapiro was almost murdered and his house was burned down. It was considered right-wing political violence, even though that attempted murderer was a far-left Free Palestine nutcase. You've proven the point this week, as the media is still trying to spin the assassin of Charlie Kirk as a potential right-winger because he had a gun, despite him being an LGBT activist, socialist, dating a transgender furry that killed a right-wing commentator. 2 men from Pakistan, both named Ahmed, were arrested for terrorism yesterday for trying to blow up a car at a Charlie Kirk memorial. The article we read did not say that it was a car at a Charlie Kirk memorial. They just said that they tried planting an explosive device under a vehicle. They did not say it was at a Charlie Kirk memorial. That's fucking crazy that they left that part out. That is fucking insane that they would leave that part out. They were both registered in the police database as white men. And this has also been happening for decades. In order to obscure statistics, in order to prevent people from noticing the crime statistics being accurate, over the years, plenty of men who are Hispanic or Middle Eastern and sometimes even black have been registered in databases as being white. Because that's the only way they can obscure the statistics in any way, shape, or form at this point. And it's absurd that this has been allowed to go on for so fucking long. You will agree with Nux on many things, but you unfortunately never take his claims of caring that Kirk was a man of God as anything other than emotional manipulation unless he himself recognizes Jesus as God. I think that's a very dumb take. I think that's an incredibly silly thing to say. Nux doesn't have to be a Christian to recognize that Charlie Kirk was a man of God. Nux doesn't have to be a Christian to recognize that Charlie Kirk cared about his religion. You can be any other religion or non-religious and understand that Charlie Kirk was a dedicated man of his faith. This is where being able to politely disagree with someone but not dislike them comes into play. You can be Jewish and not hate Christian people. I know, it's crazy, right? You can recognize that Nux is a Jew without being a Jew myself. It's not emotional manipulation. It's literally just Nux reporting the facts of the case. You don't have to share a religion to appreciate the injustice of another person's death. Exactly. I don't have to believe in Charlie Kirk's religion to understand that he was very dedicated to it and he wanted people to accept Jesus Christ, right? Like I can notice that with my own 2 eyes. We see how the game is played. The lies are in the open now, and we see the pundits on the left stoking the flames every day while screaming that they're tolerant, or they are the tolerant, empathetic victims. Saying that the country is being conquered by fascists and Nazis implies a revolution is necessary, and every slogan echoes this concept. And he's 1000% right. I haven't actually heard anyone say this as succinctly as he had so far. Threat to democracy as the majority elects him. Constitutional crisis because Elon Musk was helping out. No kings as activist judges are constantly stopping Trump. Very true. He gets blockaded at every single fucking point. ICE is kidnapping people as they deport illegal aliens. It's a fascist takeover as the National Guard arrests criminals in Washington, D.C. And this is exactly the ruling elite riling up the useful idiots to go and do what they want to happen without them ever having to take any sort of responsibility for the subversive rhetoric that they preach. They know that they are increasing the temperature. They know that they are putting people in danger. They know that they're trying to do this because they can solidify them being in power forever if they foment this nation of fear that they're trying to exact. Every phrase is used to imply that a violent revolution is necessary. Tim Walz said he hopes to receive news every morning that Trump is dead. Destiny laughed at the firefighter that was murdered by the attempted Trump assassination. I was clip-champed during that because I cried when he said that he wouldn't give a shit if his parents were shot at a Trump rally. Hassan Piker directly calls for the death of United States senators. Cenk Uyghur's The Young Turks show directly inspired Gavin Long to murder 4 police officers in 2016. MSNBC broadcasted that Charlie Kirk said hateful things, so he had it coming. They fired the guy due to backlash. Every other media broadcast and Democrat politician calls Trump Hitler and his voters Nazis, to the point that generic, average, everyday Americans that want a strong border become dehumanized to an over-medicated population of propagandized freaks. Obviously, there will be crazy people on both sides. Obviously, no one wants a civil war. Well, after reading everything he just said, I wouldn't say no one wants it. I would say they want it, but they don't see it as a civil war. They see it as the necessary revolution. All of us who just wanted to grill and play video games were just like, yeah, we don't want violence. We don't want the civil war. But at this point, maybe it's inevitable because there's no talking these people down with how propagandized they've become. We have hit peak demoralization. They've tried instituting normalization, but we've resisted well enough that they haven't been able to bring us to that point. Obviously, unity would be wonderful, but there is no unity with people celebrating the murder of a man for having opinions they didn't like. They are the enemy. They are an anti-American. They are evil, and evil must be destroyed non-violently. Both sides implies we're equally justified with differing opinions and a couple of whack jobs on each side. Both sides implies we're the same. We're not. And he's 100% correct with literally everything he said here. And when you point out how much damage they have done to politics, to infrastructure, to everyday Americans, they cry when you point out that they have been the ones visiting evil upon our country. Those that they call Nazi are just normal human beings. They have been radicalized to a point where they cannot be talked down. It's exactly like Bezmenov said, that you can show them facts, you can show them things in black and white, and they will not believe it. Nux with another diabolical tweet. He pumped out 2 bangers, like right after one another. This was like 4 p.m. on September 15th, and this one was 2 a.m. on September 16th. Like, he's pumping them out, man. He said, hate speech isn't thousands of people egging each other on to murder you. Dehumanization isn't noticing an over-medicated, propagandized population wants you dead. Cancel culture isn't taking necessary steps to protect ourselves by getting nurses, doctors, teachers, etc. fired after they justify killing us. And we all know that Marxism has exploited feminism as useful idiots. We know that in America, Marxists could use race as another dividing line, as it wasn't as mixing pot in the rest of the world as America is, as much as you might not like that phrase. I don't know what else to call it. Regardless, race was another dividing line Marxists could use to keep everybody at each other's throats in the US. But there are women who are intelligent and resisted the Marxist programming. There are people of all races in America who are intelligent, who resisted the racialized programming. When you have a population of people, dysphorics, who are very, very, very tiny, and you already have an ongoing civil rights movement for gay people, you can take that infinitesimally small amount of dysphorics and create a marching army of people who aren't dysphoric, but if you say anything against them, you're the bigot. Before this ever happened, you would be racist for pointing out certain things. You would be misogynistic for pointing out certain things. These were the weapons that they used to shut people up that they didn't like what they had to say. Even if it was completely based in reality and based in facts, they used those words to shut you up and to keep other people away from knowing what the truth of reality is. And like I've been saying for many, many years, the majority of trans activists are ideologues and fetishists. They aren't dysphorics. They aren't transgender. They're using this identity in order to push their policies. They are a very efficient over-medicated, propagandized population because they have high effects of narcissism due to their fetishism. They have high effects of being quick to anger because of their mental illnesses. This group of people parading around pretending to be transgender for their politics, for their fetishes, are the most useful group of idiots that Marxists could have ever found to exploit. And it makes the actual tiny percentage of dysphoric people look incredibly bad. And some people will obviously take the talking point of like, well, they should have spoken out about it. And it's like, with how small of a percentage of the population are, it's a wonder that we even have two of them with massive platforms in Buck Angel and Blair White. There are people who spoke out about this kind of thing. There are even groups like LGB Drop the T that spoke out about this. But they were also silenced. They were also called bigots. They were also called transphobic. They were also sent death threats for speaking out in the same way that if you spoke out against any racial tensions or anything feminism had to say, you were the problem. Transgenderism and the ideology behind it has been an immense boon to communists wanting to take over the country. The fact that the actual dysphorics in the trans community are referred to as true scum by AGPs and other allies makes a whole lot more sense now. It really does, and it's incredibly unfortunate. It's incredibly unfortunate, and it's why, even as people have gotten more and more fed up with all of the transgender nonsense, I particularly found it very important to make the differentiation between the ideologues and the fetishists and then the actual people with dysphoria. Because the actual people with dysphoria do not deserve to get lumped in with all of these Marxist freaks. They do not deserve that. They are going through an unfortunate situation, and they do deserve empathy. Not the freaks who are propagandized by Marxists and trying to ruin your life. Thank you for mentioning that. I feel like it's very important, and it's gotten me attacked by autogynephiliac ideologue freaks a la anal violence, because we know what he is. And if they have to admit, if anyone on the left has to admit that there's an actual difference between dysphorics and the marching ideologues that use that identity as a way to push their politics forward, they lose all of the power that identity shield gives them. And they can't have that. That's unacceptable. Cancel culture isn't taking necessary steps to protect ourselves by getting nurses, doctors, teachers, etc. fired after they justify killing us. 100%. They're not just cheering on and justifying Charlie Kirk's murder, they're hoping it happens to you, and they will celebrate just as wildly for your death. It's not cancel culture. And they only have the way to try and make you feel bad and use your principles against you to try and once again shut you up. Words have always had consequences. You're just making a false equivalence between someone's life getting destroyed over saying there are two genders and a mob that's pleading for your assassination. You know this. You lie anyway. That's all they do. All they know how to do is fucking lie. Leftists use these talking points, all know this. Yet they'll contort language anyway. Deceit is the weapon of choice for these people. Phobia means an irrational fear. Transphobia isn't used for people that have an irrational fear of trans people. Homophobia isn't used for people that have an irrational fear of gay people. Islamophobia isn't used for people that have an irrational fear of Muslims. You know this. You lie anyway. We know we're not Nazis and fascists, and so do you. You lie anyway, hoping that someone that's mentally ill will believe you and kill us. And once again, because it's the only way to counter the lies that keep happening. That guy that brought a gun to a No Kings rally that had Pippa's name on the gun, that had myself as his profile picture on Twitter. We went through the logs. He never started interacting with any of my tweets until Anal Violence's hit piece articles from Vice, that I thankfully have gotten taken down, but they still managed to radicalize people. This is Anal Violence's and Vice's fault. They will try to twist it into being mine because he had my profile picture, or Pippa's since her name was on the gun, but it's not. It's Anal Violence's rhetoric and lies that caused it. That woman that made a bomb threat on the GamerSupps booth, I wonder who might have pushed everyone to believe that they had marched in lockstep with Nazis, that they approved of any kind of strange political messaging that would have made someone make a bomb threat on a fucking drink company. Anal Violence and Vice, who went around on their campaign smearing both myself and that company and trying to harass anyone else who partnered with them into thinking that they did anything with anyone who was a Nazi when they never did. War crimes when our military stops cartel members from killing us. Hate crimes when it's Kyle Rittenhouse or Daniel Penny obviously defending themselves, and in Penny's case, others as well. I mean, I guess Kyle, you could technically say he defended other people, but it was mostly him. Daniel Penny took out a criminal who was threatening other people on a train. Racism when it's listing crime statistics. Yeah, stop noticing. Bigotry when it's not letting biological males into women's bathrooms. No one's falling for leftoid bastardization of terminology anymore. You've overplayed your hand. I don't give a shit what you call it. Quoted by J.D. Vance. Yeah?